Welcome. Welcome to Our Daily Magic, where we talk about rituals we can use to cultivate magic in our daily lives and talk about the magic that we are being out there in the world.
As the camera magically starts to move.
Yes, right? We've definitely got some magic to discuss today. Our topic is the art of perception. It's myself, Kai, and
Hello, I'm Dell. Yeah, this is interesting, and this is like spur of the moment type of thing. We had a guest in which we actually promoted and had a schedule for today, and he didn't show up. But we're here, and we synchronistically have a topic to discuss, and we're gonna get into this topic of the art of perception. But before we do that, babe, hit him with that logo, though.
Is that like something that you've always wanted to do?
Yeah. It reminds me of the Kevin Hart thing when he's like, drop that fire on him. Yeah.
Speaking of magic, can you reintroduce us to this?
The belt?
Yeah.
Yeah. And shout outs to Royal Belt who made this custom logo. And as you can see, the cardinal right here for my own entity business, True Essence Connection. But as I mentioned before, the way I got this was I manifested it. I won a contest in which I had a 1 in 30 or 40 something chance of winning this belt. But I just felt called for doing it. And when I did it, I just felt like, you know what? It'd be really cool to have that belt. And I was just envisioning getting this heavyweight title belt exactly how it is right here, like a red heavyweight title, my logo, my name on it, and everything. And signed up, let it go, won the contest. Was a nice grueling, nice grueling long process of getting the belt because normally it takes 4 to 6 weeks to get it. It took me about I think like 2-3 months. So I had to have the infinite patience as I was waiting for this present as like a kid waiting for your Christmas present. You know you're about to get it, but it was definitely worth the wait. And yeah, like I said, I want to rock this as much as possible out there. That's pretty much it. Unless there's any other questions you have.
Well, I mean, when you say manifestation process, it's like, oh, like write it a million times or say it every day. We just did it in the moment and it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those things because even before me even thinking about this, I was already clear and in a high vibing state. So before me even thinking about, oh, it'd be really cool to have this, I do my vigorous meditation work and my connectedness and really going deep within. But I also intentionally been doing the self work for myself for clearing my own channel and clearing the perceived karmas that I may have experienced. But the whole essence of that was just deepening my connection with the God within me. And by deepening that and also getting a deeper awareness for who I really am, things like this just happened. So I just thought about it. It popped up, this contest, and I just realized that, oh, ever since I was like 9 or 10, I always wanted to get a heavyweight title belt. And I told you before how I made one out of paper plate and glitter and stuff. They didn't amount to this, but as a kid, I was imagining at that time, like, oh, I could make a belt that looks just like this. But of course, I was disappointed at that time. But once I let it go, and who said it? Abraham Hicks, when she said, the way she explains that vortex, things that you thought about manifesting a long time ago just starts to pop up, and it lets you know you're in the right path. So this is something that I wanted when I was like 10, and here it is. It's here now, and it's something way more than I imagined. I didn't think like, hey, when I was 10, oh, I'm gonna get this championship belt, and when I get the championship belt, I'm gonna put my business logo and stuff on it.
Good point. Good point. So you showed up for it through your inner work, and it showed up for you in the form of a contest.
Yeah. And that's a great way you explain it is when I showed up for me,
Mm-hmm.
life showed up for me. Is when I started showing up more for myself and doing the things that I need to do to one get into this space of connectedness and gratitude and love, unconditional love and acceptance, and just learning more about myself. Things just started to show up for me even more profoundly, and it's a perfect segue of that for going deeper within myself, learning more about myself, accepting more about myself. It allowed me to integrate more of myself and do my own type of thing, meaning like I don't need to do something that I feel is right or wrong based upon what somebody else tells me. And this is like a perfect segue because of what's happening right now with the whole elections going on, in which you can see it out there. People are being shamed for what they want to do for themselves. So there are people out there who support one candidate, other people support another candidate, and they shame against each other and call people's names based upon their own beliefs and things like that. And very interesting because not even just the election, that's a universal thing in which people shame others for their beliefs and also feel like their beliefs are wrong and their beliefs are right.
Hmm.
And we can go even deeper with that. Not just election, not just life. We can talk about religion, so many different things. People have this perspective of they feel their way is the right way and it's only the right way. And if it's the wrong way, you are whatever the label may be, whether it's like devil or racist and all this other stuff. It's pretty interesting.
That
But
is pretty interesting.
but it makes me curious too to want to understand that more about why do people do that? Why do people feel the need to immediately label somebody based upon whatever their beliefs or who they are as well externally, whether it's the color of your skin, the belief, everything. It's very interesting how quickly we can be able to put a label on others just based upon one information you received about them. It's really, really interesting. But it also brought me into my own perspective because I've done labeling before based upon my own experiences. And that's from religion when I used to just call everything the devil. Like with the crystals, remember that when Jaden, don't touch that. I was thinking that was the devil and everything else, thinking that you was getting sacrificed to the devil and all this other stuff. And it's that's when I have compassion for people who are really stuck in the beliefs. Because like when you believe something so much, you believe like this is the right way. Anything that goes against that, you're gonna defend. Feel like you gotta defend your honor, defend what is right.
Hmm.
Be the crusade, lead the crusade, and yeah,
Got it. Got it. It's kind of like a mind blown moment, to discover that right and wrong don't really exist, in the way that it's traditionally perceived. Well, it exists if you want it to exist for you, right? Whatever you believe, you're right. However, right and wrong are just like any belief. The belief is a thought that you think most often. That's all.
yeah.
So,
And that's a question too that a lot of people. I don't know how much they go into that
mm-hmm,
and going into your beliefs. Like, what do I believe? But even deeper than that, it's like, why do I believe this? Where did this belief start from?
mm-hmm,
That's a pretty good question to like ask and see. But that is like the start of self discovery of understanding why you do the things that you do right now in this moment
mm-hmm,
and unraveling the corkscrew to bring it back. And also, you have the choice: do I want to continue this belief or do I want to shift it to something different?
mm-hmm. True, true. And a lot of that can come, like to you based on what it is that you're doing. If you're creating all day, then, like really being concerned with your beliefs may come up if they're limiting. But if they're expansive, then like to what extent do those beliefs need to be revisited if they're actually like serving you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And even that question,
Yeah.
serving you. And the reason why I thought about that is the different perceptions. What serves one doesn't serve another. It serves a lot of people sometimes to be a victim.
Hmm.
It serves others to no longer be a victim and really take control of your reality. The question is, can you accept people for what they do right now that's serving them
Mm-hmm.
in this moment?
Got it. And we're talking about perception. There's so many ways to perceive that. We say that the mind is a servant to the master that you are, right? And you get to program your mind with your beliefs. So if you are creating these beliefs and your mind is there to serve those beliefs, then, what kind of cycle are you creating?
It's so that's very good too, and that's a good, interesting topic that I want to go in more. The whole like with mindset thing, because like I talked about on one of these episodes that we did a long time ago or a couple weeks ago. But I don't know, like a second seems like an eternity now. But we were talking about the mindset, and people was talking about shifting my mindset.
Hmm.
And for me, it was interesting to me. I'm like shifting your mindset because, like, for me in my world, in my perception of this thing, is the mind is just like this computer that takes information based upon your experience. So the program for whatever experience you had in your life, but then also from what your surroundings, the beliefs around in your surroundings, from let's say like school, from what your parents tell you, from television, what your friends, your peers, your relatives, all these things. And it takes all this information in which the mind gives you that information based upon all that information in every moment. And you can, like, for me, I can see it when I am having a conversation or having a experience in life that reminds me potentially of a past experience that I had.
Get it? Remind.
I'll give you that. But I would say what our mind gives, or my mind gives me information based upon my past experience. So if there's a potential, let's say a potential, I'm trying to put a word to it. Let's say a potential repeat
Hmm.
of an experience that happened before in which I would have a different experience. My mind like, wait a second, this sounds just like when this happened, and this and this and this and this, and the mind's giving this information. And then for me, I become aware of that thought happening, and I have a choice whether or not I want to be able to associate myself with that thought and that belief and go into that story, or be able to just say like, oh, this is information that's presented in front of me, but let me observe what's happening in the present moment and see what this information really is about, or even just ask that authentic question about what is happening right now. So for me, like shifting your mindset, and what I've been doing is like I just been shifting myself, and the mindset starts to shift as well. But like for me, the mindset is like here, and this is me, this is my mind, and I've been raising myself like this, the vibration from the meditation work and being still, being with myself, acceptance and everything else, and not trying to force this mind to change. And what's been happening is as I raise above it, the mind will say the stuff, but I'm above it, so I get to observe it. But what usually happens, the mind would give this information, then the mind would go away. The mind would give me information again, the mind would go away. The mind would give me information, but like I'm just vibing on this level in which I'm observing these thoughts happening. But as we're talking about like this whole mindset thing, I can totally see the the way of integrating, like let's say, shift your mind from the affirmation, because our mind takes information in. So that I'm wondering like what could potentially happen as I raise my vibe in this high thing, But then I just tell my mind, like, listen, like, here's how I'm experiencing things. Or is it just for me choosing a new way to experience something that's similar to a past experience? Does my mind take in a new information? Like, oh, there's other ways to potentially look at this thing.
Hmm.
It makes me wonder.
What I experienced, which was funny that you're mentioning affirmations, is that like affirmations became a way for me to like start to program that mind, because the mind is not the thinker. You're the thinker. So that means that you're not the thoughts. You're not the mind. Mind is its own just program thing. So when I was doing affirmations like a lot at one point in time, what was interesting is that the mind just started to repeat some of the affirmations, and throughout the day I would just hear them. Just like you get a random song in your head, like some of those affirmations should just go through my mind. And it was kind of like interesting that the mind didn't have to be like those negative, thoughts or, things like that. It was just a reminder of the things that I was thinking most often, or just a reminder of things that would, that came up during my routine of doing affirmations. So I remember one time I was doing something, and just a thought came off across my mind. Oh, I'm a limitless being. Oh yeah, that's right. You know, so it's really interesting to observe, and your point of detachment and observing is also duly noted.
Yeah. And even deeper than that, because now we're about to get some woohoo shit. Because, like, I want to talk some woohoo things. And also this infinite perceptions, because there's infinite perceptions. And as you were talking, for me, it's like, what if, like, those thoughts are these universal thoughts that come through because we are our own universe. We are a spark of that divine essence, and it just comes and it goes. So it's sort of like our own universe that we're having in our own world. So the thoughts are just coming up and just going through because we are the creators of our reality, and these things just happen. But the embodiment, because we are way more bigger than what we see in this reality of just this 3D human body. And it don't matter who you are, we all have that belief that there is a higher power out there. But the thing about it is, we are that higher power in our reality. And to be able to step into that awareness and step into that energy, it's like the energy just gets comes through us, and it is, as this powerful energy is flowing through us, it just comes out in all these different forms, these different ways. So I said, like a thought, it's this powerful energy just coming out, like working through us. So I thought about this, thought about that, thought about this, thought about that. Information, 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 information. Because like sometimes for me, I just have like just like a random crazy thoughts come out of nowhere, and it's not from my even my own experience. I'm just thinking about something like, why not? That's interesting. Like sometimes it's like even like meditation, when I'm meditating, this thought I'm like, oh, that's a pretty interesting thought right there. Like,
That's, oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, like some crazy stuff like cats raining. I mean, that probably is me, but like raining cats, or when they say like the saying like, oh, it's raining cats and dogs. So like this thoughts coming on, oh, what if it really did rain cats and dogs? Like you just saw cats and dogs raining from the sky.
I was mentioning on the last live that I've been taking a mediumship development course, and in that course, we're listening to our subconscious, and it had me get really curious. The difference between the subconscious and the stream of consciousness that that is constantly flowing. So one day I decided to take a listen to that stream of consciousness with one of my buddies in the class,
Yeah,
and it was really interesting. It had nothing related to my experience, and after just like listening and tapping in and hearing what came across, which was like it sounded like a bunch of nonsense at first, but it was some really interesting things that came from it. But I talked to one of my friends who she's very, very talented psychic, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that stream of consciousness is always there." She's like, wait till you pick up on somebody's shopping list. It's like it's literally just the cloud, and you can just tune your, as Abraham Hicks says, tune your radio dial, to whatever your vibration is, and you just pick up on stuff. So we can just as easily put it down, and be who we are instead of waiting for the stream of consciousness to tell us what we're thinking.
Yeah, and even uh, what made me think about, or what I thought about as you're like thinking of, or what you said, I was thinking about perception and tuning in and taking in radio frequencies and the dial. And it's like our perception. So, like, let's say we perceive the world as a, a frustrated world, or see the world as an angry world, or these type of things. Do you feel like our perception will see mostly nothing but ways of just being frustrated and angry, and like, I guess, like, what's it called, to confirm what we're perceiving? So it's like, oh, it's an angry world, and then, oh, this type of thing.
Of course, you see the world as you are. It's like you have that, whatever state you're in, that's your filter. And you can listen to people through a filter, you can see the world through a filter, but it's your filter, it's your perception. And what's interesting is that you may not actually be like affecting other people's perceptions at all. It's just yours. They're saying like there's this phrase that like being angry is like pissing on yourself, because it's your anger, you're in it. It's not doing anything to anyone else except for you.
That's a Joe Budden quote. He rapped it, not anger, but in his rap, he said, "Resentment is like pissing on yourself. Nobody's gonna feel it but you."
Right.
And it's so true, because like people, we get angry at others, but like if they're like not angry at you, it's just you're wasting your energy for something that could be more beneficial. Being angry over something that already happened, type of thing, and holding this anger and this grudge, but then you find more reasons to be angry, more reasons to have resentment and everything else.
True. So it's like, what are you creating? What kind of world are you living in? And then we can match that to the beliefs and match that to start creating and generating the thoughts that you want to have instead of waiting for it to just pop up for you.
But a good question. Yeah, I'm just asking this. It's like asking for a friend, because I'm really am asking for a friend. I'm not in the. I'm not doing it directly, or not doing it directly type of thing. Like a passive thing. But asking this question because I'm pretty sure somebody's going to come across this and have this question,
Mhm.
and just want to hear your perspective on it. So, like, let's say like somebody who has thoughts, and they can't stop the thoughts from happening. Like, thoughts are going to, no matter what, show up for them, and these thoughts, it could be sabotaging thoughts, it could be worthless thoughts, whatever it may be. And of course, it's based upon what they're experiencing in this moment. So for a person like that who would love to potentially get the perspective or the perception change, what would you recommend for that person?
It's a good question. It's a really good question. And it's interesting because I can't say one thing, because everybody's different. Everybody's experience is different. The reason why those thoughts are showing up for them that way may be different, than any generic answer that a person can give. But I mean, I guess it all starts with just getting curious. And even that they're thinking about having a different way of being, sounds like they're already on the path for it to being the way that, or being a different way, or some way that they want it.
That's good. Yeah, so
What about you?
I was like, for me, in the way that I live with not having conflict with myself. So for me, not having conflict with myself, whatever shows up is meant to show up in the moment, and that's how I feel. Not only just my internal well-being, but externally, like whatever shows up for me in the moment is meant to show up for me. And so when thoughts like that do show up for me,
Mm-hmm.
I just set the space for it to allow it, because these thoughts, not only from the program of my mind happening, but there's a part of me that has this thought happening right now. But also, I know that I am the awareness, the embodiment of everything. So that includes that. So I hold space for that information to come through. So, with that being said, with the question of changing, being able, can I be able to change my perspective? And I say the first, like for me, the first thing that I do before even changing anything is accepting and not having a conflict for what is right now, and allowing it to give me the information that I need right now. But also, what Byron Katie says, and this is a great thing to do, is like when these thoughts show up, ask yourself, is it true? Because it gets you present. And by you asking a question like that, you get to debunk whether or not if it's true in the moment or if it's just a story going on. And what happens a lot is we will run with a story and be in the story, and it's not true. And most of the time, after we run through the story, we find, oh shit, it wasn't what I was thinking. So I would say, like you said too, getting curious, and getting that curious is like curious like a kid. You know, like how a kid always asks, why? Like, oh, there's a thought. But also for me, I put it in another group too, but I said I call my thoughts Rumpelstiltskin. So by me calling it Rumpelstiltskin, when the thoughts come up, I'm already detached from it and I get to observe it. But even deeper, ask the Byron Katie question: is it true? Is
Mm-hmm.
this thought true? Is my belief about what is happening now, is it true, or is it just my perception of it?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because there's again there's so many different ways to perceive that. Another way that I've like just kind of like thought about it, and there's many ways that that I think about these things. One of them is that maybe that's a something that's coming up that just wants to be acknowledged. Like a lot of times, if it's a part of us or if it's um maybe like an emotion, trying to get our attention, just if it's any of those things, then sometimes the acknowledgement just allows it to kind of like pass through, or to get what it came for. It's like, okay, sadness, I see you there. And it's like, oh wow, sadness is like, okay, I'm acknowledged. And then it just does what it does.
Yeah, and yeah, that's another way of like not having a conflict or a fight with it.
Hmm.
Say, oh, I acknowledge you, you're here, and most of the time it's a pretty quick process. Like when you really just surrender to what is and allow it. The sadness may be here, and then you may cry for a little bit or whatever. You may be angry right now and just acknowledge that and scream into a pillow or something like that. But this is what collectively happens. Like these emotions, they come and go. Even happiness and sad, happiness, joy, excitement,
Hmm.
they're all like temporary experiences, and just allowing it to be here and allow it to dissipate. And that's something I heard before, and also for myself, I had experience in which I try to hold on to emotion longer
Hmm.
than the emotion wants to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So like happiness, trying to hold on to happiness. So then when I don't feel happy, I try to force myself to get happy quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And I may get there, but it's just now authentic because I haven't dealt with the shit that that had me being sad in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And with this spiritual journey, realize that like these sadness and emotions are just debris of energy just looking to be released in love.
Mm-hmm.
And the deeper I'm willing to go with whatever shows up, the more deeper I actually get into happiness. So you're happy, and as you raise, oh wait, you gotta go through this thing right now from whatever experiences you had, so you can love it, and then you get to a deeper happiness.
Mm-hmm. Do you treat happiness when it shows up the same way that you treat sadness?
For me, yeah, because what I do is, or how I am, is unconditional. So, and that's for every emotion: unconditional love, unconditional happiness. So, unconditional happiness is finding happiness in every moment. So, even when I'm like angry or sad or upset, being happy the fact that like I'm actually feeling myself and I'm going deeper within myself.
Mm-hmm.
So being excited about it, and usually what I say, and I say a lot is, "Oh, I'm feeling this way right now, but I'm actually okay, and I'm happy with it because I know something is birthing from me right now. Something's emerging." As Michael Beckwith would say, like, what is trying to emerge from you right now? Asking that question
Mm-hmm.
when you're in those moments and you get some powerful insight, and you get a deeper awareness and acceptance of yourself as well.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you treat resistance when it shows up?
I had resistance before, not so much now, but at the time when I did have resistance, it's just me trying to fight what is trying to come out, type of thing. And the best way for the best way for me for getting through resistance is to stop resisting and just allow it. It's like resisting taking poop. You can hold in the shit, or you can hold in the shit while it's coming out, or just let it surrender to it.
But what if you're doing something and you don't have time to go to the bathroom?
Well, what if it's coming out and it's like you got to stop what you're doing right now and really be in the moment for what is happening and
Right?
shift the shit. But yeah, that's usually what resistance is, or to me, is you're just trying to fight against what is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's happening, and there's so much energy that gets used to like try to fight against what is happening right now instead of using this information for your highest good and really like take this in and evolve.
Mm-hmm.
This is all what it's all about. I put it in a post earlier today. I'm like, what it's really about is like we all are individually learning more about ourselves, and like this discovery of really getting to this place of this love and acceptance of ourselves and learning more about ourselves and bringing that out. And as Wayne Dyer said, like we all have a special note, and we all have been designed to bring out this note. And what life is showing us in our own pace or whatever is how to bring that note out. And we all been through experience in which we've been relying too much externally to like find more about ourselves or to give ourselves these things that we all truly want out of life: love, acceptance, all of those things, happiness. But then like once we're able to start looking within for that and do the work, and while in the process of doing that work, we're gonna bring some shit up that we just gotta love and accept and everything. But either way, there's gonna be pain or perceived pain. And for me, I make declaration like if no matter what, I'm gonna deal with pain. I'd rather deal with pain and get a deeper awareness of myself than like to deal with this pain or feel like this external pain's going on and not really using that information I'm receiving externally to go internally. And what's been happening now, and this is what the energy is very intense right now, but it's calling for yeah, for every one of us to like get to know ourselves. And as Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within.
Know ourselves or be ourselves?
I would say both. You can't be yourself until you know yourself.
Is that really true?
Well, in my world, yeah, but everybody has their own beliefs, which is different perceptions. Like for me, it's like how can I be myself if I don't know myself?
Does a baby have to know themselves in order to be themselves?
I feel like a baby comes in here and already knows who they are. They're just being it.
So then they don't have to know it.
And also for me, I feel like a baby is already there. And then what happens in life is we get all these layers put onto us that makes us forget who we were as a baby,
Mm-hmm.
like who we were before we even knew that we had this name, this label, this identity, these beliefs about, oh, this is wrong, this is right. A baby just, they like to explore and they just love. They explore, they love, but then also they're not like judging themselves or judging others. They just love and play and free and have somebody to change their shit. But they're also adorable because they just know how to love. They're not perceiving others. Because oh, hello.
So it's been proven that that babies perceive themselves and typically the mother, because that's who they spend a lot of time with, to be the same person until language, until we start saying mama, baby. Until then, before then, there was no difference. So that's interesting. Interesting in terms of perception.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to like interview a baby. But that's pretty much what we're doing, and that's what this work is to get us to that point of who we were as a baby,
Hmm.
as a or even having a baby kid before we got all these programs and beliefs put onto us and everything in our experience and the experience that we had in life that limit us from fully just being ourselves and expressing ourselves and no worries of how it's going to be received and people shaming us and or being ashamed and everything else is like just being ourselves, walk around naked.
Got it.
That's why kids are like the best teachers of showing like what could be possible without like the external manipulations that happen
Hmm.
to divide us.
Hmm.
Because deep down, like we are all one. Like the same thing.
True. So true.
And I was really looking to or looking forward for the conversation today to see what happened.
Hmm.
But this conversation is good too. But I mean, like the conversation of our guests that we were supposed to have, or we were supposed to have.
Hmm.
But
What would you have asked?
I don't even know. I was just looking for a conversation.
Oh, okay.
Because now that reality had happened. So
Hmm.
that's how I flow, man. I just flow having conversations.
Right. Well, the point of asking is like to think about it right now. And now that I'm looking, I probably would have asked, what does perception have to do with business? Because it was the art of perception and about being a business coach.
Yeah, that makes sense though. So what you believe is what you see,
Hmm.
and perception of the business too is like how do you how do you see yourself? Because your business is just a mirror of you.
Hmm.
People have a business and still feel unworthy and those other stuff.
Thanks. You just said something profound.
Oh, what?
Instead of business being a reflection of you, business is a mirror of you. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and yeah, I like to say that when this perception about business, since we're talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
my my perspective about what a business is, and just think about this and look all around you, like the stuff all around us, the couch, the business, the this this tapestry, the stuff that we're using, the computer and everything, is we get to see it in 3D form right now, in the physical form. But to think about it, these all these things came from that same infinite space, that void, before it became like the idea to flow to somebody and they created it. So even like our businesses that we have, we could feel in the 3D world, oh, this is my business and stuff. But like the curiosity question I is like, is it really just your business, or was it the infinite manifestation that birthed through you to create this into this expansive consciousness? And with that being said, it's like, is the business a consciousness that came from the divine, that is its own separate entity? But like what's been happening is like you got to channel this business to come out and be birthed into this 3D reality.
I hope you're not asking me the question.
It's a perspective. But also, what do you think? What do you think?
I think that me personally, I think that everything is consciousness. So that an infinite number of possibilities exist within everything, but because we are observing it or perceiving it, we're perceiving one of those possibilities.
It also brings us something like business, because you know, like there's a lot of people out there who have like similar businesses. So they say like, oh, I'm a life coach, or I'm a Reiki healer, I'm a tarot reader, I am this or that or that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like, abundance of people out there who do the same thing. And what I see is like a lot of people are like weary of doing it. They're doing these things to bring this out there because they have these ideas like, oh, I want to be a healer, or it's other things. And it's like just so generic, because like in this infinite space, it's like the same type of little bit of idea that comes in,
Mm-hmm.
and people want to do the same thing. But and the reason why I'm saying this is like, it's like myself, I thought about the same thing, like, oh, it's, oh, I want to be a life coach type of thing, and this is such a generic thing. And for myself, and once I started thinking in that way, the consciousness being birthed, is okay, there's this essence of life coaching that wants to birth through me. But the cool thing about it is it's just a intuitive idea for this. And what I did, and helped me to like really shift and become uniquely with it. And the first letter in uniquely is you. But even though you have this idea to create something like that,
Where's our sound effects? Boom. Go
but
ahead.
even though we have this idea to create these things, the whatever the idea it is, and somebody else is doing it out there,
Mm-hmm.
I think the cool thing, and the cool thing to really take in, is like nobody's doing it like you. Once you are able to tap into you and know more about you and start to understand more about you and actually be you, even though it's a form of this external essence, like, oh, I want to be a life coach or a healer, or whatever it is, but get to bring you into the equation of doing that, because that allows that unique flavor that they can't find anywhere else to do it. And it's interesting because there's a lot of these different teaching or different courses out there. It's like, I'm going to show you how to create your business, or how to get more clients and stuff. And you can see a lot of them out there. And I saw that a lot of people just say, like, oh, it didn't work. And it's like, I truly feel the reason why it didn't work is because you're trying to do it how this other person did it, that
Mm-hmm.
got them success, instead of allowing this information that got sent to you through this person to bring your own flavor into that information out of it. But also, I truly believe by like just being you and doing you and just being guided by your intuition, everything else just takes care of itself as well.
Hmm. Right. Keyword allow. Totally. Totally, totally. And when you're talking about these different like things, doing these different things, being a this or a that, like we were talking about this before. Like those are just words, right? What you're actually doing is very unique.
Yeah, because we all have different stories to get us to where we're at right now.
Hmm.
It may be like the essence of it may be similar type of emotions that happen from it, but we all have our own unique journey to get us to where we're at right now.
Mm.
So I'm this way. So like for one person, they could be feeling angry and bitter towards others because this one thing happened, and for somebody else, they use that same experience, but it allowed them to be able to love and have more compassion.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, totally. And that hour went by fast.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us. The art of perception. I perceive this to be
complete.
complete. Thanks for joining us. See you next week. Same place, same time.
Stay magical.